Hi, this is Ronnie with Everything Vive. I'm at GDC 2018, and I again have the pleasure of talking with a couple of gentlemen from Survios. This time we're going to be talking about Electronauts. So if you guys could both introduce yourselves and then, explain your role at Survios.
Yeah, great. My name's Henry Halvorson. I am an audio engineer at Survios.
I'm Hunter Kitagawa. I'm the director of marketing, and AKA I'm the biggest Electronauts fanboy inside the company.
Yeah, I got a chance to check it out the other day, and I really had a blast playing it. I don't know if you could kind of give me a brief... me kind of checking out the game, it was kind of obvious that you guys have learned a lot of lessons about audio and VR, and you wanted to kind of bring something unique to the table, given Survios' special skill set in VR. What led you guys to want to develop an audio game, and what did you feel you wanted to bring to the table that perhaps other developers haven't?
Well, so one of the big things that we really wanted to accomplish with this was we want to be able to take non-musicians and make them feel really comfortable making music. And we also want to take people that are not as into VR, or people that are totally new to VR, and make them feel really comfortable in VR. And so we've kind of tried to accomplish both those goals in the same experience, right? So you can go inside and you can immediately, within about 20 seconds, feel like you're creating this incredible music, and get the sensation that musicians spend years trying to develop. People that are trying to learn instruments like a guitar, it takes time, right? But we give them that sensation really quickly, and we make them feel comfortable in a new medium. So it's important that we make everyone feel comfortable really quickly.
Yeah.
And so the reason we actually kind of decided to make a music game coming out of Survios is a lot of the inspiration from inside the company, right? So there's a lot of musicians in the company, a lot of music fans, and I think the initial inspiration came from an app called Plink, right?
Yeah, there's a web-based app called Plink.
Okay.
I think it was a research project, and essentially it was like a chat room that a bunch of people could just hop into anonymously, and everything's quantized in Plink. So you have all these random people jamming together. You can't see them, but you can see what notes they're playing and what everyone else is doing, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
you can kind of do like a call and response thing with people you don't know by just moving your finger up and down on the screen, and it was weirdly inspiring for us to play it because we noticed you could kind of jam together without even seeing a person, or just jam out in general.
Yeah, and what kind of what did you guys think, taking what you learned from that and kind of applying it to the VR setting? What were some of the benefits of being able to be in an environment like physically when creating music?
The cool thing about VR is there's so much unexplored territory, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the development of this was exploring fun interactions in VR that could relate to music. So when we were prototyping ideas for how do you play musical instruments, right? A lot of that was just finding really interesting interactions. For example, the grenades. You played it and you throw these musical exploding grenades, right? That was just kind of one of the prototypes that really stuck with us that we found was a meaningful interaction in VR, and something that was fun to actually do, and then just apply those concepts to music. So the orbs, for example, those floating orbs were very fun for us to just jam out on. It was one of the most enjoyable interactions we did, so we kind of made that the forefront of the experience.
Okay.
yeah, I also think VR is a more suitable medium for this kind of intuitive music creation experience for normal people like me who don't know how to make music but love music, right? Because we're using your space, I think it's more intuitive, like the design. So like, for example, there's less abstraction of playing a percussion because I'm not hitting a key, I'm not hitting a pad, I'm hitting an object, or at least my brain thinks I'm hitting an object.
Yeah.
So there's less of an abstraction.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways
and I noticed when I was playing it, most of you didn't really, like, you gave me kind of the spiel before I entered it, but really most of what I was doing, like, before you would even really explain what something was, I would just intuitively go and grab it and kind of mess with it and figure out what it was doing. And what was so cool for me, I don't have experience creating music. I really felt like, I felt like I was really affecting the music that I was making. So it wasn't like the control was away from me. It felt like I had complete control of what I was doing, but at the same time, it sounded amazing. What do you guys? I know you threw out words like quantization.
Yeah.
Quantization. Excuse me if I'm not saying it right. But
that's totally right.
and other kind of tricks that you may have done in order to give players that feel like they're really like making good music, not kind of a jumbled mess. What were some of the techniques that are being used in Electronauts?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It's been a huge design consideration for us. Is we have on one end of the spectrum, we want to allow players to make sure they totally feel like they're doing and controlling the music, right? On the other end of the spectrum, we want to make sure that it always sounds good, so people that are totally new can come in and play it, right? So we're trying to straddle the line between those two things. And some of the methods that we use, quantization, we start by default. Every interaction you do is quantized, meaning that it's always going to be on beat. So whenever you're hitting these orbs, it's always going to automatically lock you to a beat. And there's an inherent latency with virtual reality that has made some music experiences difficult because of the latency. People are playing drums and they're like, oh, there's a little bit of a delay. Mm-hmm. So instead of trying to fight the delay, we've embraced the delay and use quantization, right, to allow you to just always sound good and on beat. A couple of the other tricks we're doing include always keeping you in a melodic key so that you're always going to sound good. Every note that you play melodically sounds good and also fits with the rest of the song, right? Because you have total control of all the different parts of the song, the stems, the kick drum. So if you take the kick drum out, if you take these different synths out that are in the song and you're playing on top of them, it all needs to sound cohesive and like it's one unit, right? So making sure that everything that we give the player is in key and different things aren't too loud and overpowering. That's kind of been the beauty of it, is trying to mix it all down so that whenever anybody is playing, it'll always sound good.
Okay. And as far as the focus of what you want players to take away from the experience, is it mostly about the in the moment kind of feel what it's like to make music, or do you guys allow a lot of recording options to kind of show people afterwards what you made, maybe play with other people? Can you kind of I guess speak to what kind of the progression that you see players going through when they play Electronauts?
Yeah, I think there's a few key types of experiences people can have with Electronauts. The first is the aspect of just creation. Like, I'm just creating for me. I'm the only person in the room. I'm the only person hearing this, and it just feels good to make amazing music.
Yeah.
And when you're watching a musician play and he's killing it, as a person who loves music, who can't play the guitar or can't play the piano or I can't make music myself.
Yeah.
I want to know what that guy's feeling.
Yeah.
When he's just making amazing music. So there's just that kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a creative catharsis of just like getting things that are in here out, and just it's liberating.
Yeah.
So there's a creation aspect, and then there's a performance aspect. There is this improvisational, you're performing in front of other people, and you're having this social interaction by you creating something and they're digging what you're making. And that, it also feels really great. And then there's another aspect, which is a social aspect, which is jamming. So in Electronauts, our goal is to allow up to 2 players to jam together and create music together. And so I don't know if you make music, but if you've ever jammed with other people, mm-hmm. And you guys kind of get into this flow state and you get in the same exact wavelength, mm-hmm. and you're able to communicate through music and nothing else, there's a certain sense of harmony and euphoria that you can achieve, and that is what you can achieve in Electronauts as well, which is really beautiful. And I don't know how many people have felt that if they don't make music.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like you guys are definitely just watching a lot of the people try out Electronauts here on the show floor. I see people having so much fun, and like you said, the performance aspect of just even watching other people. Like, everyone brings their own kind of style and their own personality to the game, and so you see some people a little bit more conservative. You see other people like going wild and like putting on a show. So that's a really cool aspect, and I would imagine it'd be a lot of fun to kind of play with someone else and kind of see, what they bring to the game and kind of how that affects what you want to do.
It's really interesting. Last night I was actually talking to one of our coworkers, and we're doing these multiplayer demos up here where we're playing together, right, for other people to watch. And every now and then we'll swap someone out of the headset, and one of our coworkers, Spencer, he before even taking off the headset to look at who just came in, he was like, oh, that's Lauren. I know it's Lauren playing because I just know the way she plays.
That's so
really
cool.
It's interesting. You don't really have to communicate.
Yeah, and then for musicians as well, because so we're doing a creators program as well. So anybody who's interested in potentially getting their music into Electronauts, we're asking them to sign up on our website, electronautsvr.com.
Okay.
And so we want to work with all different artists from big to small.
And what types of music are you guys particularly?
Well, any types, but
Okay.
the music that we found works really well off the bat is electronic, hip hop, pop, funk.
A lot of loop-based music.
Yeah.
Loop-based
Okay.
music is what's working well, and that's what we've designed a game around fundamentally. But not to say anything else can't work. We found loop-based music to be really enjoyable for new players.
Okay, and they can and artists that are interested in providing and kind of reaching out to you guys, the best way to contact you is through their website, or
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a sign up. The website is basically just a sign up sheet
Sure,
right now for
sure.
that program.
Okay.
And so we're asking artists to submit their music, and then
Okay.
we're going to select a handful of them.
Okay.
And we want to work closely with them to get their music into Electronauts so that when this thing ships, they can see.
And they'll be able
everybody-
to see that they were like, will the artist names
Yeah,
be in the game?
yeah.
That's amazing. That's actually
that's-
a really cool opportunity, I think, for a lot of people out there. So
Yeah, and we want to license it from them too.
Okay.
So
And-
we want to.
yeah, and do you have any idea as far as like how long that period will be? Like if people listening are interested in submitting work, like
Summer. So our goal is to launch Electronauts this summer.
okay,
So not too far away.
okay,
But so what I was trying to get at is the other really interesting aspect about Electronauts is the artist point of view. When their music is in it and they're watching other people play their music and remix it and put their own spin on it. And Henry can talk about this because his music that he made is actually in Electronauts. So.
That's cool.
And for me, so Hunter's right. I have kind of stuck some of my music in the game. I mean, I've mostly been developing this thing, but
I think you have the right to do that.
yeah, exactly. So just to get content in, right? I've been creating music to go in it, and it's incredible to see how people can put their own interpretation onto it, how they can actually remix it within a minute of playing. And on top of that, one thing I think is even more interesting is someone like Hunter knows the controls really well. He knows this like an instrument at this point. And when I put a totally new song in, whether it's my own or someone else's, he knows the controls well enough to do a remix of it that's totally unique and sounds different than the original within, a minute, like 2 minutes.
And it's cool when you see someone who's never played that song completely improvise something mind-blowing.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of cool for you too, right? Because like myself, you said you didn't have a music background,
Yeah.
so for you to be able to take work that Henry's done and then put your own spin on it and kind of show him what your creative energies are like and with using his work, that must be pretty satisfying for you too.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
when Henry shows me a new song that I've never heard, because I do know the controls, so
Yeah.
I kind of know how to do builds and I kind of know how to create progressions now.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting because I've learned a lot about making music
Yeah.
through this.
That's so cool.
That's another thing to hit on too. It's kind of a gateway. We've noticed just in the studio people playing it that are coming up to me and, hey, I'm interested in buying a piano. Like, which piano should I buy?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. It's just kind of a gateway.
And that is something that's kind of special about VR in a sense because, there's the barrier of entry of getting the actual VR hardware, but once you have that, kind of the possibilities are endless in terms of what you're able to play with within the environment. So, if I've never experimented with music before, I probably don't have a lot of equipment, to really get a feel or a sense of what I could really mess around with. A game like Electronauts gives players that opportunity, and then if they do decide to kind of take a deep dive and learn more about music creation, they can go and find out what kind of hardware they might want to buy or all those kind of things. So That's pretty cool.
And the other thing I love about this is that Electronauts is it's a VR experience that doesn't necessarily need to or shouldn't even be played in isolation. And what I mean by this is the other night at the Unity party, we did a DJ set where Henry was performing in Electronauts and collaborating with a scratch DJ.
That's
like
cool.
And so there's a DJ scratching over what Henry's doing, and they're switching back and forth, and they're jamming together essentially. So you got this live artist on turntables and a mixer, and you got Henry in VR, and they're making music together.
That's so cool.
And so that's and I can see live instruments, live bands jamming with a couple guys in VR.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can mix and match mediums and media and
especially those kind of interactions. Like maybe we're at the early stages now, but I could see definitely down the road where people that are like thousands of miles away from each other, but they want to get a sense of what it's like to perform with someone, to try to collaborate or this or that. Like this can be a way for artists in the future, hopefully, to kind of get a chance to do that stuff without having to necessarily travel before knowing if this is going to be a good fit or not. Maybe you jam with somebody and you have a great time, and you decide, hey, why don't we meet up at such and such location in the future?
I haven't really thought about that.
So that's kind of cool. But anyways, well, thank you guys both for your time, and you had mentioned that you're hoping for a summer release. Yeah. Okay, awesome. What's the best way for people? You mentioned the website and registering to submit music for the game. If you're a person like me that's just interested in learning more about the game, what's the best way for me to kind of follow what Survios is up to?
So you can go to survios.com. Mm-hmm. We have a newsletter where we keep our community updated, but also probably the best way is Twitter, okay. Facebook, social media, so Instagram, at Survios. Okay. Follow us, and we're always posting our newest stuff.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time to speak with me, and we'll be in touch.